Skipping ain't easy, but it's necessary. I be getting weary, cause shit be getting scary. But sit back, relax, and don't you dare worry, cause I be hitting wrongs with a righteous fury. Yes, sir, see, I am the only one. My name is Josh Dunn, gonna have some fun telling the truths y'all can't handle. I might raise a scandal as I dismantle the fake, make 'em quake and make 'em shake. I make you bend, but never will I make you break. Just chill, yo, and don't be frightened. Open that closed mind, it's time to get enlightened. Folks, we're back here once again. Skimpin' Ain't Easy, episode 4. 4 was my favorite number as a child. I think I picked it when I was 4 years old. It stuck with me these, 31 years now. I guess we should get into our sponsors this week. We're brought to you once again, and as always, by Cafe Sampoil, where this week it features a book donated by me that used to belong to my buddy A. Diddy, and now it belongs to the cafe. It's the guy who wrote Robinson Crusoe, Daniel Defoe's General History of the Pirates. I somehow couldn't relate to the 18th century piratical language, which is shocking since I have scurvy. Buy the book for $5. If it doesn't suit your fancy, you can return it and receive a free coffee. It's also a great source of dietary fiber. After you've tried to read the book, eat it, stave off scurvy. Why didn't I think of that? We're also brought to you once again by Charlie's Club, where it turns out the pill I've been taking turned my aggression to obsessive compulsion. And now I've decided to tap the door window lightly 7,365,972,145 times, or until it smashes. Sorry, Charlie. Guess I've got to stop letting the pharmaceutical companies experiment on me. But the commercials say they're trying to help me. We are also brought to you this week by Kleenex brand Kleenex. It beats toilet paper every time. This week, folks, because I'm a real jokester, maybe 1942 is, it was his suggestion, but I agreed. We're going to have Frisbee Rob McLeod on here. It's kind of ironic to have a Guinness World Record 6-time holding athlete on a podcast called Gimpin' Ain't Easy, but I think he's going to make a great interview, so I can't wait to talk to him, actually. I'd like to tidy up a couple of things from last week. Of the films I didn't review, I watched The Post. It was kind of cool to see Meryl Streep as a newspaper owner, you know. Cool to see a woman in that kind of position of power in 1971. But it kind of felt like it was a 2018 film about 1971. Of course it was. But if the film does its job, you're supposed to feel like you're in the time period they're depicting. Stranger Things feels like the 80s all the way, right? I thought The Post was boring and kind of poor man's All the President's Men. I'll take Dustin Hoffman over Tom Hanks every day. Don't piss me off, folks. I've been really happy with the people who've agreed to be on here, and in some cases even asked to be guests. That means that you must be generally getting something good out of this. Cool, right? Even if I don't have you on, I'm still flattered that you asked. Here's the thing, though. I've got to think you're going to be a good guest. I'm happy to be highlighting the struggles, because, hey, I have some fucking major hurdles myself, but you can't just be struggling. I've got to see some perseverance in there, too. You don't necessarily have to be a success, but you've got to be up to some cool shit in spite of your problems. If you're just out there making trouble for people all the time, I can't have you on here. Well, folks, he found my spot. I'm happy to be here with Frisbee Rob McLeod. How you doing, Rob?
I'm doing pretty good, man. Parking was a little tricky, as you can imagine, around here, but worked out okay.
Yeah, I don't drive. I had a guy who I barely know asking for his parking spot, and then he was kind of aggressively like, well, wouldn't your unit have to have one? And I'm like, yeah, man, but I don't know you. I don't know how I'm going to work this out with my building. I feel bad, but yeah. Yeah. So, I understand that you're quite the Frisbee man.
Yeah, it's been interesting actually, and I mean Marcus, he was there in the beginning. I think we kind of started at the same time actually, and it was pretty cool. We went throwing a couple days ago at the Commons, which is where really I learned to throw frisbees. And it's just neat when you look back and you don't realize what's possible with something until you just start doing it, and then the world just kind of opens up to you.
So really, because I did look at your website. That's frisbeerob.com. And I thought, are you from Calgary or?
I grew up in New Brunswick, but living in Calgary now.
Okay,
Yeah.
so,
Yeah.
and just because I asked everybody, what was your childhood like? Did you always know you wanted to be an athlete? Or?
Yeah, I played every single sport as a kid. Skating, swimming, hockey, soccer, golf. Pretty much did everything except frisbee. Actually, I didn't really start frisbee until after high school.
Everything
So,
except frisbee.
Yeah, and that's one of the things I talk to a lot of people about now is try different things. Like there's a lot of people a lot of kids are doing hockey, and then in springtime they do hockey, in summertime they do hockey, and then they quit playing hockey and they don't have anything to do. So just try different things, no matter where you live, no matter just try something, and if you like it, keep doing it. If you don't like it, that's fine. But so yeah, I always knew I wanted to be an athlete. I think everybody kind of has that dream when they're in grade 1 to be a professional hockey player or whatever, a firefighter, like whatever those dreams are. And you kind of give them up as you go and you realize you're not going to make the NHL. And there's a lot of people that, even if you make the NHL, you play for like 3 years. So
I'm still trying.
you're still trying. And so, yeah, I was just trying to like learn those different things and realizing like what's going to actually happen in life. And you don't really know. And I had no idea I was going to be doing this at any point in my life until the last couple of years. I guess it started kind of emerging that you can actually do something with it. So it's been pretty cool.
Yeah, I've too. I've been all over the map. I guess the first sort of extracurricular activity I did was therapeutic horseback riding for disabled kids, and now I'm doing this. So, microphone's a very different kind of horse.
I was gonna say, yeah, it's really cool to be like putting, like I said, I listened to your interview with Paul last week,
Yeah.
and pretty awesome. I never heard of the guy. I haven't been in Halifax for a while, and just hearing some of his story and just the different paths that you guys went down was really cool as well.
Yeah, no, that's right. Now I want to ask, like, so has sports? I mean, in the ways you've been talking about, you almost sound like a modern day Bo Jackson or something. Bo Jackson times a million. Has it helped you like overcome? Has it just been confidence building, or is it more than that?
Yeah, and the real reason I'm good at frisbee is I lost my mom when I was in just after high school, so after first year university. And my way to sort of grieve her death was to throw frisbees, and that's really how I got really good at frisbee, was not knowing how to cope with that grief and just realizing I like throwing frisbees. And yeah, it's helped in a lot of ways. I meet a lot of different people. I go to a lot of different places with my work, and so it really, I worked with a group of DHH kids in Calgary, and it was interesting working with them because I'd have to explain frisbee, and then their translator would explain what I just said. And some of them had, cochlear implants. Some had been deaf since they were born, and so it's just interesting working with different populations, different, going to First Nations, and just understanding like it's a piece of plastic, but it's really a lot more than that, and just how to meet different people in life. And it's frisbee's. It's transcended a lot more than just playing catch with somebody. It's become, more of a purpose. And a lot of people always ask, are you a frisbee player? Like, what do you actually do? What's your purpose? And it's always an interesting question to kind of figure out, like, what are you trying to do with what you do, I guess. So.
Right. I love that you took that horrible grief and were able to turn that into something positive and go so far with that. Like I was, it's funny, I was looking at my questions here when you talked, and I'm just jumping around to see what is in context. But geez, you got workshops from kids to under primary to grade 12, and like you said, you were just doing First Nations there. And I was wondering, was there like what's it like working with the kids, first of all?
Yeah, it's a lot of it's like how to talk to them, how to connect with them, and realizing that a lot of parents, a lot of teachers don't know how to connect with them. They're too harsh with them. They're always negative to kids, and it's like kids just these innocent vessels, and just give them a break, right? Let them just be kids, and they're gonna make mistakes, and that's okay. And there's some tears in my workshops when kids get hit in the head with a frisbee, but you reassure them it's gonna be okay. Like keep trying again. And I've worked with a group of I can't remember the exact name of the group, but it was a group of kids on the spectrum, and that was interesting as well, just because there's different, functionalities.
On
depending on where
the
they're at.
autism spectrum?
Yeah.
Okay, yep.
And every school I go into has kids on the spectrum, but it's just interesting, like, working with them, talking to them, connecting with them, just giving them a look at something different, and just having fun with it. Like, a big thing I'm seeing now is how many kids are just hooked on screens, and that's not how we're meant to live. We're not meant to just be sitting in front of a screen our whole life. So it's just talking to people and interacting with other people is really the path that I've kind of taken now. And you try to live it yourself, right? Like, if you talk to somebody about something, you want to embody that as well and live what you're talking about. So,
Gotta practice it if you preach it, right?
totally, yeah. And
Yeah.
like, I was terrible. Like, most people in university have binders of DVDs of movies that they were burning, and I had hundreds of movies when I was in college. And it's like, at some point you realize, okay, I'm learning from these movies, but I could be learning from other things and reading and talking to other people. And so you start shutting the movies off and not watching as
My
much.
internet piracy has really isolated me.
Yeah, it was pretty bad. And but luckily our brains are developed, and so us spending time is not as bad as kids spending time on screens. Doesn't mean it's good for us to spend 10 hours a day
Right.
watching movies, but
It's gonna. Could you rightly say that you've put any kind of significant dent in childhood obesity? Or?
it's going to take a lot of people doing a lot of different things.
Right, can't
But
just
I
be one
do
guy with a
know
frisbee. Yeah.
I do know, like, there was a 5-year-old who went 2 weeks without screens.
Oh,
And
wow.
Just like over 500 kids have taken my challenge that I know of, and so it's just getting them away from screens, away from playing Fortnite. There's a lot of kids playing 6 hours a day of Fortnite right now, and it's too much. And it's fine if it's once in a while. As an adult, it's not as dangerous on our brains, but kids for sure, it's rewiring their brains. And too many boys on pornography, too many girls on social media, comparing their lives to other people all the time. And,
I'm on both, and I'm a 35-year-old man.
and it's fine for us. Our brains are developed, and it's
too lazy, I love it, man. And, yeah, no, I gotta say, like, I had a secret motivation sort of for bringing you on here, because I do a show called Gimp Ain't Easy, and difficulties around that, but not exclusive to that. But here I've got this like super athlete, so I had a secret ambition to Tanya Harding your kneecaps and sabotage your career. But Rob come in with an Uzi, man. Mark must have tipped him off. I might be gangster, but I don't play guns, baby. Don't play guns. Scared. I want to ask too, was there any, like, has there ever been anybody, like, legit, aside from me being foolish, trying to sabotage your career in Frisbee politics?
yeah, actually last July it happened. It was pretty bad.
What, do you mind talking about
I said some things on Twitter that I probably shouldn't have said publicly. And,
Okay.
I didn't realize I was a conservative until I said some things, and then there's a lot of liberal left that didn't take kindly to the things I said, and it was pretty bad. I talked too much. I should have just said one thing and left it.
Right.
I ended up trying to talk to them for about 10 hours on Twitter, and never have discussions on Twitter, is what I've learned. So
No, and yeah, I mean,
pretty
you're,
bad.
you're only limited to a few characters
Exactly.
anyways. And I'm not even on Twitter, but I just imagine,
Yeah.
geez, that would go, geez, yeah.
yeah, and you're trying to explain to people what you're meaning, and then things get taken out of context, and they only read the first one instead of all 5, and then it just goes downhill from there. And it was a good experience for me, but I've learned that sometimes it's better to just do instead of sharing. So I've actually pulled myself off of social media quite a bit.
Yeah, right. It's another
Just
reason.
create, right? Just
like,
create.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. Forget about the sedentariness
Yeah.
of it and whatever like that. But it just causes more problems. So many and foolish arguments, right? That
Yeah.
you don't. Yeah, that's interesting.
And I see some people just getting pulled into things, and it's like, just doesn't matter who you are. Like, just do your own thing. And so many people just get riled up, and there's so much outrage, and it's not worth anyone's time to be getting into that. And so I'm just learning to create more offline, like, with what you guys are doing. You're creating something that's real, and there's a lot of podcasts that don't last more than a couple episodes. So I think this is like episode 4. So you're better than like 90% of people that have ever tried podcasts.
Yeah.
I think blogging is just as bad. So it's because it takes a lot of effort, and to have people on your show and figure out what your theme is going to be, and you actually make the time and make the effort to do it is pretty cool. And you're creating something that's out there and that's real, right?
Yeah, I mean, I can write and talk, but if I didn't have 1942 recording this, and he's been very helpful for getting guests, actually, 2 of the 3 so far were from him, right? So without him, I don't know how much of a show this would be, you know? Wouldn't really be happening. And I wanted to ask you, those 6 Guinness World Records, are those all Frisbee related?
Yeah.
Okay, so that, and mind you, I don't really know jack about Frisbee, and I hate those people that I'll just tell you I don't know, right? But I mean, that makes me think, like, was the creator of the Guinness Book of World Records a Frisbee aficionado? Because for such a wide-ranging book to have anything from, you know, world's largest dog bite to, you know, man who ate the most hot dogs or whatever, to have 6 categories in Frisbee seems...
Oh, like there's more, but I only basically set records that are approved by the World Federation, but there's some crazy records. And I remember as a kid, I'm sure you guys, you know, read the book as a kid, the softcover book, and the world's tallest man, right?
Right.
Robert Wadlow, 8
Right.
foot 11 inches. And I'm like, well, I'll never be that. Or the
Yeah.
fattest man was over 1,000 pounds. And so it's, I think in 1991 is when the Guinness Book kind of lost the allure that it did have, and they just started approving everything. And so it's
Okay.
unfortunate. And so I only try to set records that are approved by the Frisbee Federation because those are legit competition records. But yeah, there's a lot of pretty wild ones. Like anything you can think of, there's probably a record for. Like
The largest booger.
you know, well, exactly. Or how many like people, like how many of those, you know, ginger cookies eaten in 1 minute or something.
Oh,
right?
would you like one?
You know, I'm good for now.
I've also got cake and Coca-Cola.
Oh, nice.
But
But it's just like any record you can imagine. And so for me, it's about challenging kids, getting them to see, you know, what they're capable of. Again, no matter what it is, if it's Frisbee, if they don't like Frisbee, that's fine. Not everyone's going to want to do what I do, and that's cool. Like if you want to do podcasts, if you want to be a musician, you know, it's totally cool. Just letting people know that just go do it, and who cares what other people say.
I think that's an awesome piece of advice, and also really key there, like finding your passion, because that reminds me when I taught a creative writing course briefly, and students were sort of being funneled into this as, you know, they had to take a kind of thing. And one was not much of a writer, but she was quite interested in visual artists.
Yeah.
And I said, well, you know, I can't give you a proper critique of that, but by all means, you know, if that's the mode you feel most comfortable expressing yourself, please do. If you want to do these assignments in picture form, like, who am I to stop you?
Yeah.
Right?
Well, and it's interesting talking about creative writing because there's a lot of boys now that are writing about video games.
Right.
And teachers are like, oh, you know, but they're writing about something at least.
Right.
So-
Right. Passionate about something.
Well,
yeah.
exactly, and it's nice that they're writing about something, but yeah, I mean, there's some kids now that want to have their the grad theme to be like Fortnite. They want that to be the grad theme, and so it's. But I mean, when we were kids too, like we're all the same age.
Yeah.
And I don't like
Final Fantasy for me.
Well,
I
exactly.
don't
Yeah,
know about
exactly.
you,
Like
but
we,
yeah.
you know, we had different themes as well back
Yeah.
then, and Time of Our Life by Green Day, and
Right.
you know, GoldenEye, and so it's.
Yep.
A lot of this stuff is the same, just packaged differently, but there is some stuff that is quite different than what we went through as well. So
Yeah, like I never even heard of that Fortnite, but that's
Yeah.
shows you how out of pop culture I am, you know.
and it's only 9 months, so it's
Right.
pretty new.
yeah.
But it's a lot of money, hundreds of millions of dollars. So
Right. No, it's quite the industry. But we're talking about records and challenges. I understand we might have a challenge here for Mr. Frisbee, Rob.
That's correct.
Oh, here we go. What does 1942 have to say here? Let him talk.
I'm going to let this little video or audio pit that I made do the talking, Rob, and you're going to hear that right now. Rob McLeod, I'm coming for ya. April 2018, Fredericksburg, Virginia. I'm coming for your MTA title. I'm back, and I'm faster, and I'm stronger than ever. You call yourself Golden Arm, well, they're going to call you Silver Arm after you come in second place to me. My technique is superior. My wind reading is on a metaphysical level. My name, the Spinner. Rob McLeod, look out, buddy, because I'm coming for ya. Know the name, know the Frisbee. The Spinner is back.
So, Rob, what is your response to this challenge? Are you up for it?
I have about 10 years on this guy, so I'm not worried. He's got a long way to go to practice to catch up. So, I mean, he's not bad. He's not bad, but I'm not too worried.
Not too worried. You think
He can be my understudy if I go down. You know, he can take over for me.
That's right.
Yeah.
If someone does Tanya Harding your kneecaps, we could send him in as your replacement.
If he Tanya Harding me, yeah, exactly. He can go in as Tanya Harding. Yeah. No, it's good though. Like we were just out playing catch the other day with ourselves, right? And it's just that simple. So sometimes it doesn't take much. It's just $10 piece of plastic, and you can just go out and have fun with it and challenge, and that's what it's all about. I think like just not making things complicated or difficult, and just not getting caught up in like stuff that doesn't actually matter is kind of the biggest thing that I try to go for. So
it's almost like a Zen sort of be in the moment.
It really
is.
Yeah. Like my favorite quote, well, a couple favorite quotes about Frisbee is, it's the perfect union between our greatest tool, which is our hand, and our greatest dream, which is to fly. So when I throw Frisbee, it's the closest I'm ever going to get to flying. So it really is a Zen thing when you're watching it fly. Like I played golf with my dad and his buddies on Friday, and they were all hitting the ball, and I'm throwing a disc. And it's like watching the ball go. It's not really that exciting. And then you watch the disc fly through the air, and they're all like, "Oh, that is so cool." And that's the thing. No one's like, "Oh, that's cool how a ball just goes up and comes down." No one really ever says
Hear that, kids, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages? Frisbee kicks golf's ass any day of the week.
When a ball dreams, it's a Frisbee.
Golf wishes it was Frisbee, folks. And I think you've kind of touched on this, and I don't think I asked Paul directly, but I asked Ronick directly, our first guest, to put him on the spot. And they see you've kind of touched. What would you say the meaning of life is?
It's funny because I actually just posted something on Instagram about that today, but and I believe it. But the meaning of life is to find your gift, and the purpose of life is to share that gift with other people. So I truly believe that it took me a long time to figure out my gift, and now it's. I was saying to somebody the other day that I travel way too much, and it would be nice to be settled and be somewhere, but no one's going to do what I'm doing. So I just have to keep doing this, and it's too much traveling. Like I'm going to Israel on Friday for a month, and then I'm probably going to move to Texas and
Austin,
Dallas, Houston.
Oh, yeah. Wow.
Yeah. Have you been?
Yeah. Wow. You're getting around Israel, the Texas.
Yeah.
Wow. That's
Texas will be interesting.
Yeah.
At least it's in the wintertime when it's not like 1,000 degrees right now, but yeah, I think that's the thing is you figure out what your gift is, and then how can you share it with other people. And I don't know, it's been a while since I really had a home base and I was settled, and really since Halifax, I guess. Like I was pretty settled here for 4 years, and it was just nice to have that routine, and you could have some structure in your life. But sometimes the structure is when you're unstructured, right? So
right, yeah. The structure is to be on the move.
Totally,
right? Yeah.
And you just got to accept that and just go with it, and just know that the unknown is kind of the only thing you can predict. And that's where I'm at right now with it. So
that's really cool. And just before I do a little silly sign off, I just wondered if there's anything that you wanted to add, or
no. I just saw him last time for the first time in a couple years. I guess he was out west, and then before that it had been a while. But we've seen each other twice in like 15 years, so it was just cool to reconnect. And he's like, "Hey, my buddy does a podcast," and then a week later, here I am. So
yeah, how did you make friends in the first place 15 years ago?
It was probably at the pub when everyone was eating their food and he was inside eating peanuts. And then
he's an elephant, I tell you.
He came out and then had everyone's leftovers, and no, cheapest dinner ever. But no, we met playing Frisbee. I don't know how he heard about Frisbee, but we traveled a ton together, and we ended up playing Ultimate with this guy that has like 1.1 million followers on Twitter now, and had some interesting just connected over that, I guess. And we used to play catch Daltech, right? Yeah, Daltech. There's like this little soccer field, and I don't know. And that was before social media. That was before YouTube.
It's like you guys are each other's dad in some kind of way, playing catch with Sonny Boy, right?
But it was a nice time back then. It really was. And it's not that now is worse, it's just different. And I think sometimes I miss those simple times when you didn't have someone at your beck and call all the time, and
totally
you could actually develop friendships with people around you instead of having multiple connections all over the world. And that's kind of where I'm at right now, is trying to maintain relationships with people everywhere.
Yeah.
Knowing like, hey, I know somebody in Colombia or South Africa, maybe I could go there, but you never really get a chance to talk to them that much, and it never works out. So
Right, and I've always kind of found like everybody's friend is also kind of nobody's friend,
Yeah,
you know,
exactly.
and not
Yeah.
not in a negative way, but we only have so much like space, or at least, and I'm kind of reclusive in
Yeah.
a way, you know. But I mean, I think we only have so much space in our hearts that we can actually, in time, that we can actually get close to
Yeah.
people, you know.
Yeah.
So, and just on a weird name drop, because I'm curious, would you know my buddy? Because he's played Ultimate, not at your level, I don't think, but he's been over the world. Davey Boy Mitchell, would you know that guy from here?
is he a big guy?
No, he's a little tall, but he's very thin.
Oh, okay.
Very thin.
No, we played. I think Dave Mitchell. He was a big guy. He played. He was like 7 feet tall or something.
Oh yeah, nope, that's not him.
He played water polo, which would have been frightening playing water polo against him. But yeah, no, it's. I agree with that. Like, kids have 500 followers online now, and they don't know 500 people.
Right, exactly.
And they need to have 4 or 5 really good friends, and they need to develop that. Like, we're getting caught up in that too. Like, we grew up. Because we got the internet in grade 8 or 9, I think.
Yeah, ballpark,
And like,
yeah.
And we're still trying to figure out, I think, how this is fitting into our life. There was actually a movie I watched where the guy never left his place, because now you can get, I don't know if you don't have Uber here, but you can get food delivered here, right?
Oh yeah.
So you don't even need to leave your place, right? You can have everything. You can have groceries delivered to your place, food delivered to your place. And in this movie, he basically never left his place, started dating like the food delivery girl, because that was like the only person he ever saw.
Yeah.
But it's getting to that point where that's realistic. And there's times where I consider myself an introvert, and with all the traveling I'm doing, it's tough to actually have time to myself.
Totally.
And sometimes I miss just being reclusive at home. Like, I could spend 3 days in my house and not have a single person talk to me, or like
Yeah.
they wouldn't even know if I'm still around, you know?
And then does that then feel really isolating after all the out and about? Or do you need it?
But it's I definitely need it
Yeah.
to recharge. But there's some times where you're like, oh, I wish I was, you know, more social. But then there's other times where you're being social and you're like, I wish I was less social.
Right.
So it's just trying to find that balance constantly, I think. And like, knowing Israel's coming up, it's going to be pretty intense. Like, I probably won't have much time to myself. And so this week I've been trying to take some extra time, and just even like being at someone's place for 5 minutes by myself is a really nice change. So
Chilling out, eating some poutine or donairs. I don't know if that's your jam, but
it can be. Yeah.
the proper
There's good donaires
Halifax
here, right?
experience. Yeah. Yeah. And so I just wanted to basically thank you for being on here. I think this was a really awesome interview, and something you folks should check out over at frisbeerob.com is the full court frisbee in the basketball net shot. That's amazing. And I was wondering, Rob, I could sense your hesitation, but do you think you might be able to try it up here in my apartment?
Yeah, we got something to throw into. Could try something.
Oh, here it goes. Here it goes. Oh my God, there goes the flowers Mark bought me, folks. There goes, and the Ming vase that they were in too. Guess I won't be putting my kids through college after all. He's been Frisbee Rob. I've been Josh Dunn. Gimping ain't easy. Another one, number 4 in the books. Folks, like I always say, give yourselves that Ric Flair, woo! And tell yourself, I am the greatest of all time, because you are. I know I am.
It's a great closeout.